What can you sow in December? Well, it's the 1st of December now, and it's going to be a pretty common question, so let's have a pop at answering it. Let me just explain first of all what we sow in December, and that is absolutely nothing at all. We are completely self-sufficient on vegetables and have been now for a few years, haven't had to buy any vegetables for a while. And that's been made possible by having a plan of which seeds to sow at specific times of the year so that we get a harvest every month of the year of multiple crops. And in that plan, we don't make any sowings at all in December or January. We've just put out a video of an allotment tour, November allotment tour, which you're welcome to check out if you like. And in that video, we show you all the crops that we're growing there to harvest now in autumn and going through to winter as well. And in that video, we share with you all the sowing dates for all of these crops. And a lot of these sowing dates over the years have been trial and error. But at the start, when we first started our allotment, we were on YouTube like a lot of other gardeners, and we were searching what can you sow in December. And we found plenty of videos, and they recommended you can sow this, you can sow that. So we sowed this and we sowed that, and in our experience, it was kind of pointless to sow anything in December. That's not to say we didn't get anything to germinate, which we did. So to answer the question directly, what can you sow in December? You're looking at things like pak-choi, Chinese cabbage, landcress, cauliflower, spring cabbage, lettuce, different types of salads. They will all germinate. But the question is, what do you do after they've germinated? What can you grow rather than what can you sow? And what we found is that, well, nothing really. We found that the seedlings, once they germinated, grew really long and tall and thin. Instead of making healthy looking seedlings, they were getting what we call leggy. Just searching for light, basically. December is a dark month, same as January too. 8 hours of daylight on average a day. And even with that, there's so much cloud cover usually in December. We don't get a lot of light in December. So the way that we dealt with these leggy seedlings was to get pots, sort of tall, fill them full of compost, bury the entire seedling, including all of the stem. And come mid-January, we'd be left with loads of pots, all full of compost, with 2 tiny little green leaves sticking out the top. Completely useless and not the plant we thought we were going to grow, and a complete waste of compost too. So that's when we decided, instead of sowing in December, we can either wait until February and sow the exact same seeds in February when light levels really start to pick up, or we can sow earlier and by December have an established plant which we can then overwinter. And we can show you some examples of how we're doing that this year. For example, these lovely salad plants, 4 different varieties here. This one was sown from a packet that just said mixed leaves on it, not sure the individual varieties. The other 3 were sown from home saved seed, and that's something we're trying our hand at this year. We've tried with peas and beans before, which are relatively easy, so we thought we'd give it a go with lettuce. Actually surprisingly easy with lettuce. All you need for home saved seed for lettuce is to let 1 plant of each variety run to flower, and it makes so many seeds just from 1 plant. So we sowed in, I think it was April, and we stopped picking later on in the year, let them run to flower. The flower then turns to seed, and this one and this one made their seed in September. So we literally collected the seed from the plant and immediately sowed in the cell trays in September, 1st of September. This one just here didn't make its seed until October. So it's a full month behind. This one's called Reine de Glace, which translates to Queen of the Ices, or Ice Queen, I think we would say. You can just see though, it illustrates the point I'm trying to make about how we get further on in the year, the opportunities for growth decrease. These three, sown 1st of September, growth's looking great. They're nice, big, strong plants. We've already taken a harvest from them a couple of times. This one, the Reine de Glace, is looking much weaker, much smaller. We haven't taken a harvest from it yet, and I don't think we're going to be able to until, I would guess, February, when the light levels pick up. So the challenge for the Reine de Glace at the moment is just going to keep it alive. There's already a bit of frost damage on the leaves. These ones too, but these can withstand a little bit more because the leaves are bigger because they were sown earlier. So let's go ahead and take a little harvest, and to do that, all we're going to do is pick the outer leaves. If this was summer, we would pick the outer leaves, and the inner leaves would then become the outer leaves within a matter of 2 or 3 days. And then you do another pick again, and so on every couple of days, really. Different case over winter. We can do a pick now, and the next time we would come back would be in 2 or 3 weeks rather than in 2 or 3 days, which is why we grow a lot more. There's 24 plants here and a few more up there somewhere in pots of the same variety. In summer, we would probably look to grow maybe 2 plants of each, and that would still give a really high yield. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick the outer leaves. This one, by the way, is called Winter Density. And what sort of leaves do we call this? So this, do we say butter leaf or butterhead? It's a soft leaf anyway. These are the mixed salad, it just said. Bit more of a crinkle type. Now this, to me, from the mixed salad, looks very similar to this one. It might be the same variety. This is called Lola Rossa, and it makes more of a crinkly sort of red and green leaf. Beautiful. And it's so nice to have the different varieties when you're having your salads at home. Let's see. We don't want to pick too much because the growth's so slow this time of the year. They're not going to rejuvenate that quickly. So I'm just going to pick the biggest outer leaves, perhaps one more here. And maybe a couple more from here. Looking big this side. And one thing we do over winter with salads is that we beef them up with other I was going to say ingredients, but other types of other leaves. One of them being mustards. And the mustards are in the greenhouse, so let's go and have a look at them. So we've got 2 different types of mustards here. This one, oh, it's a green one and a red one. We used to just grow the green one, but purely just to make the salad on your plate look nicer with different colours over winter, we decided to grow this red one as well. This is called Red Lace. The name of this one escapes me, but we'll put it up. It's the same as the salads, really. They were sown at the same time. I think, was it either the first week of September or the last week of August. And for harvesting, exactly the same. We're just going to take the outer leaves, same as with the salads, and we're just going to take the really big ones and leave the smaller ones to grow on. How many pots have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 6. So if we can take, say, 1 leaf from each, it doesn't sound much, but this is how things grow over winter. The growth is small, and you take what you can. Obviously, we could have a bigger harvest if we grew more. As I was explaining about the salads, we grow 8 over summer, and there's 24 plus over winter, and we get more from the 8 plants over summer. So let's go ahead and take some of these red ones. Absolutely beautiful. The difference between the two mustards. And these are, it looks like these are outgrowing their pots actually, but there's not really much we can do about that. We don't have the space to put these in the ground, and that's why we grow the lettuce in crates over summer, well, and spring. Other times of the year we grow salads, lettuce directly in the ground. We just don't have the space to put them in the ground over winter. We do have the polytunnel, but the polytunnel has a little problem with humidity. Even over winter when it's freezing, the condensation drips from the polytunnel cover and drips down onto the whatever we're growing, and it rots the crops basically. We've tried to grow overwintering cauliflowers and other things, and they've just ended up rotting. So the greenhouse is the only indoor space we have, so we can keep the salads in crates, and if we do get snow we can just bring the crates in. There's not a lot of room left once we do that, but keeps them out of the way of the snow. So okay, this is looking pretty decent now, and I just want to turn to this side because we've got a load of peas here, which we're actually making a video on from sowing all the way through to harvest. These peas should be harvested in May. They're an early variety, overwintering variety called Meteor, hardy variety. Yeah, we've got so many at the moment. What happened was we did the original sowing in a cell tray 3x5. This was for the video we're going to put out, and then when we listened to the video back, the audio battery on the microphone must have died because there was no audio, so we had to go back and film it again in another 3x5. So we ended up with 2 3x5s. One of the 3x5s has been potted on, so that's all these here. We left these, why not? There were so many seeds in the packet, and there's still some left. What we also did with the peas was we filled up some guttering with well-rotted horse manure, and we just sowed loads of peas in the guttering. The idea for that was just to take the pea shoots, whereas these will grow into actual peas. Hopefully that's the plan. So I think what we can do with these, they're starting to fall over now. I think they're really running out of nutrients. Let's have a look at the you can see the root ball. I mean, there's no nutrients left there for this pea. It's going to die soon. So what we'll do is we will take the pea shoots, and you can just do it with finger and thumb, and you can put that in salad box. Yeah, difficult to do this with 2 hands, but while I'm on camera, this is how we take pea shoots. I'm just going to take half, and then I think when we do the next salad harvest, we'll take the other half. Hopefully they'll still be alive then. They're starting to look a bit droopy now. I think if we give them a water, they might pick up just a little bit. Okay, so we've got some pea shoot. I'm just going to taste one actually. Never tasted a pea shoot before, but apparently they taste just like peas. Oh wow! Oh my goodness! That is incredible. It's like eating a pea. The flavour is exactly the same as eating a pea. Never eaten a pea shoot before. Peas were sown mid-October. And again, you can see now by December, these are healthy looking plants now. Again, we're not going to get much growth over winter. We don't expect it. But then in February, these will really kick in. We can even put these in the ground in February. I just want to see how's the root ball looking. Okay, the roots haven't gone down yet, so these can stay in these pots for some time yet, which is great. Okay, what should we look at next? Behind me, there's pak-choi. We've put out a video on pak-choi, so I won't talk too much about pak-choi, but we make or mustard just fell to the floor. We make 3 sowings of pak-choi, 1st of August, 1st of September, 1st of October, and that gives us a harvest of pak-choi from October all the way through winter, and the last harvest of pak-choi might even be in March. They're not going to be massive, the ones in March. In fact, I mean, these are looking pretty decent size. These were the September sown ones. All the August sown ones have now been harvested and eaten. But these ones here, pak-chois and Chinese cabbage, these were the October sown ones. Again, this is how big they're going to get by December, and they might not get much bigger over winter. A little bit of growth maybe, but then they might grow into plants, let's say a size similar to, have we got one to show as an example? Maybe that's all we're looking to get. And we can have that in salads or stir fry. It's not massive, but it's going to be a harvest. Okay, let's go downstairs now and have a look at the last 2 crops that we grow for overwintering in the greenhouse. First, looking at overwintering collie. Cauliflower was sown end of August, and by September they were looking pretty decent seedlings, so we popped them in the ground here. We were actually growing chilies here, peppers rather, not chilies, bell peppers. We had 3 plants, and so they lived together in the same bed for a while. The peppers came out 2 weeks ago. Clearly not the season for peppers anymore. All we did to remove the peppers was get the snippers and just cut under the ground, and now the cauliflowers have got room to grow on. They're looking okay. This one is looking a bit feeble, this one too, but the other 3 look okay. We've got a reserve here, and we hope that this will give us a harvest in, shall we say, April time, start of April. The same as the spring cabbage, which we can look at now. These are on the other side. So it's pretty much the same story this side with the spring cabbage. This is a variety called Durham Early, and a couple of backups in pots too. These are interplanted with carrots. Carrots were sown in July, and I mean, they could come up, to be honest, but they're okay living with each other at the moment. We've just harvested carrots, the June sown carrots. They were outside, so we've no real need for any carrots to eat at the moment. So these can stay in here as long as we don't get a severe frost, and the cabbages look perfectly happy living with the carrots. They're a bit bigger than the cauliflowers. They were sown on the same date. I think it was the 28th of August, could be wrong, but it was around that time. They seem to be doing better than the cauliflower, so we'll have to see what happens come April, when these should give us a harvest as well. Let's just pull up a couple of carrots here just to see what they look like. These should make short, stumpy carrots. Yeah, and they've done exactly that. Well, they're quite small, aren't they? Maybe we should have thinned these out, but this one's looking okay. This one too. So we can take them home. I think we've done for the overwintering tour. I hope you've enjoyed seeing what's possible to grow over winter. The takeaway from this video is really just to understand the opportunities for growth over winter. December, January are really low, and just not to expect too much. Don't expect big plants. We're not going to get big plants over winter period. To do that, we really need to sow earlier, as we've shown today, and or have those already established plants by the end of the year, which can then kick on in February. So with all that being said, we're going to wrap this one up, and we'll see you soon.